Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Brewing e-commerce. And today I have somebody who's avoided me for a long time, who's ghosted me. But every time I meet him, he's super nice. And the only way I thought I could get 30 to 40 minutes of your time is to bring him on the podcast. So I'm super excited to have you, Doug.
It's I'm delighted to be. I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to be ghosting. You're also just running around, and I think we just the stars haven't aligned, and I think now they have aligned. So I'm delighted to be looking forward to catching up and chatting for 30 to 40 minutes. I promise you, the next time I see you, we will chat for
So
longer.
see, all I did was did this to gain the 5 minutes, which I'm extremely delighted for. So no, Doug, I've been seeing the journey for some time now. I've been seeing your teams. I'm seeing the content. I'm seeing the collateral. I'm seeing LinkedIn stuff, and it is amazing how you guys are going about things. Uh, it's very, very something that I look up to all the time, and learn and gain from it. And your value prop, your product, it's fantastic. And I really hope, and I'm seeing that more and more brands are understanding the value, and I would love to get very, very deep into the whole thing, because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of gold nuggets from here. But let's start from the journey where it all started. If you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit for everyone, and also your previous professional experience till Penny Black today, please.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I'm Doug. So, for those listening, I'm Doug Franklin. I'm the founder and CEO of Penny Black. We are a software solution that allows brands to generate profit from every single unboxing moment. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, over the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes. But if I start with the story, so I mean, I think it's interesting. I have no experience in e-commerce or retail before Penny Black, and the idea really came out during COVID, as a lot, I guess, of e-com innovation happened during that time. And my story was along the lines of, as all of us were doing at the time, we're all locked in our homes with nothing else to do, and people started buying things increasingly more and more online. And you know what? It was the most exciting part of the day. I mean, there were lots of exciting parts of the day. I've got a very lovely young family, and they were keeping me entertained. But another
Great.
exciting part of the day was, when the doorbell rang, you're like, oh, I'm going to speak to someone and have
Mm.
contact with the outside world that isn't my family, which is whoever it is dropping the package off for whatever you've bought, and there's this anticipation of you getting your order, and it's exciting. Got to speak to someone, maybe put a pair of trousers on to answer the door.
Yes.
Received my package, took it upstairs, opened it. Awesome, got my product, whatever I bought online. But I was super confused because I'd maybe bought a pair of trainers to do running as I took up during COVID, and there'd be like three or four flyers in there for like dog food or something like that. I was like, I don't even own a bloody dog. So I was like, what a waste, right? Like, and you've got this moment that they could have really used to maximize this unboxing experience, this touch point, this moment where they have all my attention. And instead of sending me something that was super relevant to what I bought or to where I was in my sort of like life cycle with them, whether I was a loyal customer, whether it was my first time purchase, instead I got dog food pamphlets. I was like, that's a bit of a waste. And so
Yeah.
it was that sort of like sparked this idea for Penny Black, because that was really the story. So it took this bold step from being someone from financial services to going, hey, I can see an opportunity here, and something that really bugs me. So I'm going to do something about it.
And this is very fascinating because most of the times we all realize that the solutions come from the problem we faced,
Mm.
right? And I think that was a very good moment. And I have to say, I completely agree with the whole unboxing experience. So, have been like an Apple user in the ecosystem for about 15, 20 years now, right? I have like 10 things of Apple. And more than the whole technology and the gadget, the way to open the whole box and trying to rip out every single piece of thing is just, it's just pleasurable, and just makes you look forward to using that again and again, right? And I'm sure what you're talking about has those elements in the whole Penny Black experience.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely, it's amplifying that, right? So if you're spending sort of money, as a lot of brands do, in investing in their packaging, right? If you're spending money on that already, you need to amplify that and make it work, right? So why spend lots of money on packaging when the insert or the flyer you're going to send to your customers has nothing to do with that? It doesn't resonate with that. And I think what we do with Penny Black is exactly helping brands recognize that there's a way for them to amplify that moment by sending these super targeted inserts to their customers that goes hand in hand with that unboxing experience that they envisage. And you know what? It's not the like we're not reinventing the wheel here because people have been using inserts for ages, right? It's always been a way to get in front of your audience. But the changes come in the advancements in technology, right? And what we're able to do is help merchants connect data to those inserts, and that's what hasn't been possible before. So imagine being able to sort of like change the status quo where it was like, hey, okay, so we've got our nice packaging, now we want to put an insert in,
Yeah,
and you're hoping that that insert works, like it's going to be the same discount for everyone or the
yeah,
same campaign for everyone. Now we're going, using data and technology, you can actually make every single insert individualized to that person and not just their name, right? It's again what they've bought, where they are, are they a loyal customer? Where are they in your sort of, I guess, yeah, loyal customer, first time customer, whatever, and then also whatever you might be driving from your business perspective. Do you want to drive more signups to your newsletter? So it's about reimagining this sort of like touch point you have, this unboxing moment, as a new marketing channel and as sophisticated as your digital channels, right? So you can use exactly the same data that you're using in your email marketing and your SMS marketing now for your inserts that go in your packages.
very impressive. Because when we talk to merchants, and I'm sure you and me, we both talk to a lot of brands every single day, and all of them are in a very different stage of their journey. Some of them are that very 0 to 1, that they kind of go want to flood their products out in the market, get the initial traction, learn from it, reviews. Some of them are more established, so they're trying to work on their repeat users and things like that. And using data, you're so correct that you're extending your real estate. That's how I look at your solution, right? That while a lot of people talk about how post purchase experiences on email, don't just send them a coupon, also tell them how to use the product, right?
Yeah.
But we also know the problem with open rates in email, etc., right? People would ignore it, not look at it. But this is something which they have to look at. They can't really ignore. They would at least give it a few seconds to kind of see it. And how do you guys position this from a brand's perspective? That is it always towards you can extend the lifetime value, you can go and get more. So how do you go about deciding what is the best approach or the strategy for brands here?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think taking it up a level before coming to specifically in terms of what the brand's trying to do is, I think what we see is that like personalization is the standard now. It's not just a nice to have; it has to be personalized, and you also need to be personalized across every single touch point you have with your customers. So that's like the must have, and that personalization at every touch point isn't just your website; it's your website, email, SMS, on and on and on, and these unboxing moments. And you have to get all those things right to drive increased loyalty. And as you know, increased loyalty is what we're all going for at the moment because it costs too much to acquire customers.
Yeah.
So that's exactly right. And so what we do is we work with merchants to actually like really help them explore those goals with them, and really help them drive that loyalty. So we see this as a sort of like a multi-threaded strategy, because we look at what they're doing from an email and SMS perspective to drive their retention metric, so CLTV or increase the AOV or whatever. And we use the same sort of way they're thinking about that through the email and SMS marketing in this unboxing marketing. So what we try to how we try to help our merchants and educate them is, this isn't a channel in isolation. This is something you use in parallel with your
Exactly. Yeah.
email and your SMS marketing. And it's quite neat. And we make it easy, for them to do this, because what we're saying is, like, this isn't another, tool you need to manage. You can actually use the same segments you've set up. So for example, we integrate with Klaviyo as an
Yeah.
example, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so you can, of course, send your segments that you've set up in Klaviyo to Penny Black, and then it syncs up with so first time customer campaigns, engagement campaigns. So that's quite cool. So that syncs up. But even
Indeed.
more cool is, when we can send data back to, again, for example, a Klaviyo, and you can say, oh, okay, so they've scanned the
Yeah.
QR code on this insert. Klaviyo now knows. Now we can send them the next flow in
Yes.
that sequence. So it's bringing all that in house to sort of like give you that multi-touch strategy to help you drive that retention and loyalty. I think the one thing that I do like about it is that the final value add that I see this giving is, it helps you stand out and be a little bit different too. I think that's what's helping the merchants we're seeing at the moment, because actually, when other people are focusing on just a handful of channels, those that are stretching themselves are
Mm.
starting to say, actually, we're going to stretch ourselves. We're going to try this new touch point.
Mm.
We've seen that work really, really well.
That's very interesting. The whole 360-degree flow of data. Going back to one of the biggest data warehouses, Klaviyo for me is like a data warehouse, trying to get data from everywhere together and have the consolidated view, right? So, um, I firmly believe what's going to be more and more important for brands in the coming days and years is the ROI. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to see that if I'm sending an email and the guy never opens it, it's going to bloat my CMS, and then the spam problems and stuff like that. Or if I send an insert and the guy actually clicked and opened it, right? So
Yeah.
then, yeah, that thing. Are you, what are the kind of rates are you seeing in the market? What are the open rates and scan rates, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, very high, right? I'm quite impressed. So we're seeing, so on average, like of course it varies, but I think our conversion rates are sitting somewhere at about like 2.5% overall. So it's quite like a strong like conversion rate from scan to actual purchase. So we're really, really happy with that. And what that's resulting in is, the last time I checked, was about in your ROI of about 6 to 10. Um, so that's what we kind of like about this, is that it's driving this sort of like immediate repeat purchase in your ROI. And what we're also starting to see is the average order values from
Yeah.
these inserts be used. So from that perspective, we're really happy with the kind of results and uh, uh, metrics we see. So high ROI, high scan rates. Um, and then, of course, there's the vanity metric, which we always quote, which is a bit odd, but we always say it's 100% open rate, right? Because everyone has
Yeah.
to open their
Yeah.
package. But no, but the core ones for us, I mean, are
That's true.
absolutely,
Yeah.
it is absolutely about that sort of like conversion, and you know it's something we've been very, very pleased with. And then we benchmark that against sort of like then what you see from email and SMS. And I think it's like, again, 5 to 10 depending times higher than the conversions you'll see through those channels. So it's and our hypothesis is it's that sort of like slightly quieter moment. People getting lots of emails, lots of SMS,
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
digital stuff. Um, and so that quieter moment is what's driving that sort of like higher engagement rate.
Yeah, because 2.5% conversion rate is higher than most of the guys have there on Shopify stores themselves.
Correct. Yeah.
Insane. This is a little different question, Doug, and this is where I think your journey is kind of what I'm trying to extract the most out of, right? So, um, we are in the e-commerce space as well. Uh, we're trying to do something a little different, what didn't exist, right? And there is a huge part of us and a lot of app developers like us or the platform guys like us, where customer education is the most critical part of the whole sales
Mm,
process.
mm.
For us, trying to go and tell them, saying, you know what, yes, your performance agency is the one that, makes your toast every day, kind of a thing. But we are the one who actually will put the jam and butter once you move forward. And they don't understand because agencies don't talk about it. They don't get the share of the revenue of conversions. Right? So it's a complex world in that way, right? Um, how have you kind of taken this when you go to brands, and what's your positioning or what's your value prop so that you kind of stand out and then the brands are more open to trying you guys out?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I mean, I think overall it's about building trust and credibility. I mean, I think that's the main thing that we really focused on early doors, was building this trust and credibility. We've got quite a complex, whilst on the face of it, it sounds easy. There's actually quite a lot of moving parts in the product,
Yeah, we're
and
going to get to that because I know it's
uh,
quite complex and I want to understand that end to end today. So,
yeah, yeah. But that it was about building trust and credibility, and that trust and credibility comes from a number of things. It comes from getting those early customers, those early adopters, and proving that you can deliver results, right? So that's the first thing. Attract those early customers. It's about having a very strong team. We take team building very very seriously at Penny Black, and make sure that we have a very very strong team that has domain experience in the space, so we can convey that credibility. And then it's about the final one I say is about education. So it's about getting you know because I find once the I find that I've been really impressed with the collaborative nature of the e-commerce ecosystem, and once people get it, they're really eager to help promote you, and even just shout about it or talk about it and be advocates of it.
yeah.
But that education piece can be tricky when you're almost creating a new category, and it's quite hard for people to get their head around. And the journey, we haven't nailed it at Penny Black yet. We're still on this journey of defining the category that we're creating. Because as I said to you before, offline marketing, so print marketing, has been around forever. People have been
Yeah.
using inserts and stuff. So but we're not that. Variable dynamic print marketing has also been around for a while. Think about things like direct mail. You get it's variable. There are elements of personalization to it, and people use it. But this new category that we've kind of created is real time. Dynamic print marketing, where things are happening, and we try to get people into this habit of, you can have an insert that's going into an order at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you can say, hey, that copy is not working for me, and you can change it in our
Yeah.
platform, and
Yeah.
the order that happens at 10:31 is different. And
Wow.
it's trying to explain to people that create this new category, and that's taking us time to how have we created, what are the benefits, how does this work with my digital channels. They're almost trying to reinvent um, uh, the sort of like concept of inserts, and print marketing is actually the same as your digital channel, and that's taking us time, but we're getting there, and that's the education piece. But once you get that, people are become huge advocates.
Right, right. So again, delivering the value is something so critical,
Yeah,
and I'm seeing people talk about you guys, and I'm seeing the way things are. It's hard to be in a room of say 20 brands sometimes, and there would be people who are using Penny Black now, which is so nice to see
mm.
as well.
Yeah.
Um,
It does. It helps also being a bit different, right? So we are a bit different, so that helps us, and there's not many people doing what we do.
yeah. So this is where I want to kind of get in very depth of it, right? So I want to understand the process because we all work very hard to make the front end process very easy, but at the back end there are so many moving parts, right? um, I'd like to understand, like, if I'm a brand, Doug, and I sign up for Penny Black, right? What are the kind of things and what are the kind of levers that you guys pull for them to kind of deliver this end to them? What's the process like?
Yeah, I mean, I think the there's a couple of stages in the process. I mean, I think Penny Black, first and foremost, it's a software solution, right? So it's that's how what brands are buying. They're buying access to a platform. What that platform does is allow brands to create segments, create campaigns, and upload artwork. They can do that in our platform, or as I described above, they can import stuff from their data platform or their CRM. Okay.
Mm,
So that's the first thing that they do. So to enable that, of course, there's got to be a couple of integrations. We need to integrate to the Shopify store or whatever e-commerce website they're using, and their CRM data platform, like a
mhm,
Klaviyo, right? So that's the first step. So to facilitate the building of those campaigns. The second thing we obviously then what happens is once an order's made online, our platform will create immediately a PDF
mm,
for in the platform, and we hold that in our platform. Now, of course, that's useless unless it can get printed out somewhere. So what we then do as part of this flow is we connect our platform to printers in warehouses where the fulfillment's happening, and we build integrations with a huge number of WMSs. There's not like really a WMS we haven't been able to work with yet. So we integrate via the WMS to these printers
mm.
um, in warehouses. And as soon as as soon as the packer's ready to pack the order, they'll scan a barcode or they will push a button on a screen. The PDF we've created in our platform, we send, you know, down to the printer at the warehouse via the SMS, and it prints
Nice.
out while the packer is doing it without disrupting the process. I mean, and that's why we spent a lot of time in
Yeah.
product development, because the key thing here is that it doesn't slow down that packing process. So there's a lot that went into the product development. What printers are best for this? What kind of papers best for it? What kind of designs are best to facilitate that speed?
Yeah.
Um, and goes into the order, and then obviously all the inserts will have a QR code on it, and then we track that progress
Super.
back in. The key thing, that the really interesting thing, that it's unsexy but sexy too, right? In terms of the product development, is the most important thing is that this works, right?
Yes.
So it has to. We have to be able to send those PDFs to the printers. The printer has to print it out. The packer needs to put it in. Now we've got this great monitoring tool in our platform, because the key thing that we have to make sure is that constantly these printers are
Working.
not jamming, they
Yeah.
are not running out of ink, they are not running out of paper, and we've got this great like monitoring system, so we can really maintain these high uptimes so that merchants are able to get a print in every single order, um, as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, this is the you know control panel of the mothership, which people
Yeah.
don't understand about, but so critical in terms of efficiency and trying to get those things out there. Amazing, and I know this not be must an easy feat to kind of deliver this at scale the way
Mm.
you guys are doing it. Um, let's dive in a little bit about personalization, right? Uh, I think it's a joke and a mockery that for the past 5 years, every January people talk about 2000 is going to be the year of personalization. 2022 is going to be the year of personalization. We are now in 24. Do you think brands understand personalization now much better? Do you think they are open? And how do you
Yeah.
think they're being receptive to trying to do on site and off site personalization?
Yeah. I think the top the leaders are getting increasingly good at it, and people are going to need to catch up, because I think the first thing is understanding, like when you say personalization, what do you mean? It's more
Yeah.
than just a name,
Yeah.
right? Like it's more than just like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, hey Doug, thanks
Yeah.
for your first purchase. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's this ability to, really understand your customers and segment them appropriately and deliver them content and information and messaging, uh, based on who they are, what they all these variables, and even more nuanced variables, what the weather is. I don't know, and
Yeah.
that's and I say that's offline and online, right? And when it's online, it's all your channels, your email, your SMS, your site, everything. I saw, and why I say the market leaders, because I saw something cool, like in the recent Klaviyo benchmark reports, and they were looking at sort of like some of the top decile um, merchants and what they were doing. You could see this really huge gap between those that were really investing in SMS. And why I say that's interesting, because clearly
Mm.
they not just going like, oh well, it's a channel and we're just going to like ship stuff out through
Yeah.
that channel. They're going, no, we're going to really spend time on this channel. Think about our
Oh,
segments. Think about what the audience in that channel wants to receive. And they're pulling away, right? And I think that's really interesting, because what you start to see is that there are merchants who are prepared to invest in every single channel.
yeah.
It takes time, it takes effort, it takes money, but you can see the results are there. And I think they're going to start pulling away, and people are going to have to start trying to catch up and think about how they're going to use all their channels and take that same disciplined approach.
And I think your product was born out of COVID, but it is one of the only ones I know which was not focused on the digital side of things. So that means while everything went up and came down, you guys were in a very different trajectory. How do you see the whole combination of omni-channel and being in retail versus online in the future?
Oh, great question. It's actually been one of the the hard things, at least initially, to be honest. So one of the difficult things for us was, everyone thinks, or historically it's been like offline is quite unsexy,
Yeah,
right? It's not very, very, very sexy. So going back to that education piece, I was saying, it's like, but this isn't offline like you know it,
yeah,
right? This is, we made up a word, like I think it might exist in other industries, but we made up this word called phygital, which is this blending this physical and
right.
digital,
Yeah,
and not quite omni-channel, right? But
yeah,
it's this like everything you have, whether it be your physical touch point has digital, is influenced or informed by digital themes. Like, yes, it's a physical insert, but everything on that insert has been gathered, has come to you because of the use of technology and data and digital, and it feeds back into that. So I mean, and I think it's supported by, and I think that narrative, like I say, so it hasn't been easy, but it's been able to show that actually there isn't this sort of like, physical world and digital world anymore. Actually, these two things are so seamlessly linked. Now, I haven't been to any of these, and you can see like, some of the big, D2C brands,
sure.
like, coming back to high street
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
of that. So, but I wouldn't be surprised that, whether they, start, there'll be digital elements in those stores. So how do you start bringing it in? So the stores won't just be, in the future, these physical like bricks and mortar thing. There will be elements of digital. I don't know what that looks like,
yeah,
yet, but that's what we see. It's sort of like, we see that we've got, like I say, this term phygital, which we kind of like, right?
yeah, yeah. And I think there is that digital divide, in my opinion, between
Mm,
this retail and
mm,
online experience. When and you guys are trying to be a very big bridge, because I know a lot of brands who are suffering with the data. What's happening? Are they buying online? They're not. Of course, Shopify has launched the POS, so yes, you get the information, etc., and link the customer data. But yeah, this has been pretty good. Um, you've you started from an idea, you've scaled it, you're working with more and more brands, and the learning never stops, right? And I know how that goes. But also, we have to look at that just the Shopify ecosystem. If we kind of talk about, there are about 50 to 60 new app platform providers every single week, right? On the App Store, there are about 11,000 apps at the moment, growing drastically. Um, do you think that if somebody wants to launch a platform or an offering, what are the top three things in your advice, Doug, they should kind of, consider or think of before getting into such a crowded space at the moment?
I mean, I think there's one thing. It's be truly innovative and build something difficult. That's the sort of like my advice. I mean, when I look around, a lot of it, I see a lot of like copycats with a little bit
Yeah.
of a nuance here, small things that do they move the needle that much? Are they little plugins? It's about, for me, it's well, the first thing would be is that truly innovate. Now, I'm not talking about like Penny Black, as I say, is we've been creative in that we've taken a lot of disparate parts and put them together, and it's very difficult to do. Like, and that's why we're passionate about it,
Yeah.
and we like it, and that's what I encourage new apps coming in. And it's just like, can is it innovative? Is it innovative? Like, is it something different? Is it, or is it something that you just, you're doing something someone else is doing slightly differently? So it's
Yeah.
got to be differentiate, I think, is the first thing. And then the second thing I think about is, does it uh, uh, move like the needle enough? Will this have a big enough material impact? Again,
Hmm.
when you think about it, you kind of think like neat, but does it really deliver that ROI? And we spend a lot of time historically, even today, we really challenge ourselves to go, does this move the needle enough for merchants?
People
Because
to
if it
pay.
doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not going to, and we've got this concept of the vitamin and painkiller in Penny Black, and we go like, is this a vitamin? Like, cool, people buy vitamins all the time,
Yeah.
but painkiller, like
Yeah.
that's what we try strive for in everything we're doing, from our exploring like what features we need to build, exploring why hasn't this been done before, like what are the pains, and how do we solve them. So that's kind of what we so make sure it's painkiller and differentiate.
Excellent. I think I'm going to take that from you and use it in a lot of conversation now. The vitamin painkillers. Hopefully I'm not the pain, but a painkiller in that respect. So yeah. And what's the story of the name, Doug?
So the Penny Black. So this is going back a while now, right? So 2021 or whatever. So the Penny Black was the kind of first stamp, right? And it sort of like transformed the way people communicated. It was something that brought this uh, real time ability to communicate with loved ones in physical format in the written word. So it's a play on that, because like we bring in this sort of like old school charm of something physical, something about sending a letter,
Yeah.
with the kind
Yeah.
of like new age of connection, and but now using data, of course, to to
Sweet.
to do that.
Yeah. No, that's pretty nice. I have been really looking forward to seeing how GUI, which is the on-site personalization, and the off-site that you guys do at Penny Black, how we can bring in the data together, how we can do the personalization part more as well to again deliver the 360-degree kind of thing.
Hmm.
And that is one of the very exciting things that I'm going to definitely follow up in this year to see how we kind of do it. Um, just to be the painkiller side of things. Uh, so, two more questions, Doug. Given the interest of time, while I can go on and on yapping about different things, uh, the first one goes that today, when you're looking at the whole e-commerce ecosystem, right? How should brands kind of prepare themselves for the cookie deprecating, the CACs going high, targeting becoming difficult, and the whole spend that they need to manage between retail and online world, right? So for the next 1 or 2 years, what should be the top three things that brands should consider in their strategy?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite like I guess, yeah, 1 to 2 years, quite a short time horizon there, right? But I think what they should be considering is, in the context of everything you've described. Effectively, it's like you've got to get more. You've got to get more. with less cash, really, right? Because the investment is quite low. So one is an assessment of all the tools you're using to make sure they are delivering an ROI.
Yeah.
Fewer things, but then making sure you're giving that same level of attention when you select your channels. Like really invest in them, really give them that attention. Make sure that they are synced up, that they are delivering that you're using that data smartly across all those channels. Like the example I was telling you, you see those leaders in favor. That's like the really short term thing. I think people have to do is like being super smart and syncing all of that. But beyond that, so not being a from the industry. What I think like longer term is I think you can have the greatest marketing and channel mix in the world, right? I think for brands to grow exponentially, product innovation is going to become super important. And I'm just like I was describing to you in terms of when you're
Yeah.
saying about in the
Yeah.
app space, mate.
It's the same. Yeah.
In categories, there's just like it's just themes on themes on themes, like different packaging, right? Same product.
Yeah.
And I think to make marketers' lives easy, even though they've done all the hard work, getting their channels, getting their ROI right, you've got to give them something to sell. And I think that
Yeah.
the product innovation beyond that is going to become hugely important because we can't just having like, change the packaging, same product as I described. So product innovation is something I would be
Mhm.
looking for in the space.
Okay. Super. Great. You, I think you very nicely summarized it that they need to kind of get more out of the little that they have to spend because margins are getting challenged, the profitability is in question all the time, and from a ad and acquisition side of things, they will get far less number of traffic for the buck that they pay today, right?
Mm.
So that's a fact of it. So yeah, every optimization, I think it's is a must for all of them. Um, and the last question, Doug, which is usually the toughest one, and brace yourself, is you have to tell us something about yourself which you've never told anybody.
Oh gosh, I tell everyone everything. So there's not much I haven't told everyone.
Like a
Gosh,
funny incident or something which went like a massive screw up or something which
there are so many of those. There are, gosh, like I could be here forever. And what have I not told anyone about myself ever? I'm quite like Molly. Like you've met Molly, our marketing lead. She always says, Doug, it's like you've been living for like 1,000 years. You've got so many stories. Um, I have got well, don't even know where to start on this one.
pull
Let
one
me
from
think.
pull one
Pardon?
from your hat. Yeah, just one interesting one, and I'm sure you have many.
Yeah, here we go. So wait, so here's one. I mean, I've told everyone this one, but it was good. So when I grew up in South Africa,
Uh-huh.
right, and we were once very lucky to we got sent on this. I played for the sports club.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got sent on this tour overseas, and unfortunately, a bunch of South African boys that were very excited going overseas were so poorly behaved when we got to the Netherlands. They sent us home. The police came to the hotel and said like these guys was terribly behaved. A couple of them had left the hotel. There is a story here that
Oh my
they
God.
went and misbehaved elsewhere. But yeah, got packed on a plane 2 days later and sent back to South Africa.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. And I don't want to ask which side of the coin were you then personally because the team is different, but let's not get there. No, this is awesome, and to be honest, I would have never imagined this is you, Doug. But again, thank you so much. I think it's been really nice getting to know about the kind of innovations you guys are powering in the whole ecom sector. I've known your teams, I've known the product, but getting in depth of it, I think, was very nice, and the kind of feedback that you've given to guys like us and all the others in the ecosystem, I think it's something we can all learn from. Thank you so much for your time, Doug, and looking forward to having you again sometime soon.
Thanks for your time.
Talk to you
Speak
again
soon.
then. Cheers.
Bye.